Welcome to the YES Alumni Webinar on Project Evaluation. We are so glad that you've joined us this morning. And please go ahead and answer the two polls about what country you are from and how much experience you have with project evaluation. We have a really wonderful webinar planned for today, which should help you improve your alumni projects by teaching you evaluation techniques. We're very excited because we know what wonderful projects you always do, and we think that you can make them even better by using evaluation and really planning things out. We will also have some files for you at the end of the webinar that you can use for project evaluation, and we will be recording the webinar so you can watch it later or share it with other alumni in your network who you think it could help. Today I'm joined by Dr. Agha Ajmal, who is currently a Fulbright scholar in South Carolina and who has worked extensively with project evaluation. And we're also going to be joined by Marouane, who is a YES alumnus from 2008, and he's been doing a lot of project evaluation with his alumni projects, and he has a really great perspective for you all. If you're new to Adobe Connect, you can please feel free to use the chat space over here in the corner to ask any questions that you have at any point along this webinar. And so without further ado, I will turn it over to Dr. Ajmal to begin.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar on monitoring and evaluation. I'm thankful to the YES program for giving me this opportunity to speak with you, this young bunch of scholars, and you guys are exposed to the right kind of environment at the right age, and I'm sure you will make the right difference in your countries and in the world. Why am I teaching this course or this webinar? Because I have some credential and little knowledge about the topic. I am a physician who was turned to public health 10 years back, and I had the opportunity to be part of two big evaluations. Currently, I am a Ph.D. candidate in the University of South Carolina. The two projects that I worked with for evaluation include Tawana, Pakistan, which was uh, a project for 500,000 girls. We provided them daily lunches to see whether the malnutrition reduces among them and the school enrollment and attendance increases. I was also part of the evaluation of the program, which was about producing leaders in the area of reproductive health. I evaluated the Pakistan chapter of that program. So, what are we going to learn in today's session? We will know what does monitoring means, what does evaluation mean, and what are the major differences between the two. We will also know about what does indicator mean when it comes to the monitoring and evaluation context. We will know about some major approaches of evaluation that may be useful and come in handy for you guys when you plan evaluation for your programs. And we will also try to apply some of these concepts in your context in terms of what projects you are doing. We will take some examples of your project and apply these concepts in them. So what is monitoring? Monitoring is an ongoing, planned, and systematic activity. Usually, the monitoring is done by those who are implementing the project, and they want to see whether things are on track or not, whether the things are uh, being planned according to are implemented according to the way they were planned. So this is mostly an internal exercise. If you are planning any project, you will also plan a monitoring plan with that. For instance, if you are planning a project on accident safety, you need to have plans for monitoring accidents, number of accidents that are held during the project time when you were implementing it. On the other hand, evaluation is an external exercise. People from outside come and see whether the project is going in the right direction or not. Mostly with evaluation, you want to know the successes that program has achieved, and you want to value the program and decide whether to continue the program further or not, or expand it or not, and the major lessons that we can learn from the program and apply it to the other programs. So that's the major difference. The gist of it is that monitoring is about is done by people who are implementing the program. It is an internal exercise, while evaluation is mostly done from external people to see what program has achieved and what lessons we have learned from it. So an indicator is any variable or characteristic that we can observe and measure in a program, like number of accidents. If you are doing a accident safety project, if you are, for instance, if you take your own program, YES programs, what is the major objective of YES program? To produce scholars who can make the difference in the world. So the number of YES scholars graduated can be one of the indicators. Similarly, the number of YES scholars who have established social and developmental program in their own country can be another one. So we see the objectives of the program determine what kind of indicators you will use to monitor or evaluate it. Some more examples from the same program of indicator can be the scholars. You want to know the success stories of the YES program scholars. That's how you gauge your own success. So the YES program can evaluate itself, or it can monitor its progress by knowing that the number of success stories submitted by the scholars. Similarly, if you want to make scholars part of the American culture or help them understand how different cultures work, then the number of food that the scholars can cook, which are the American food, can be one indicator. Similarly, the number of friends they have made in America can be one indicator. And last but not the least, if we want to see how empowered the YES scholars are because of the program, we can use the indicators like that they have gone back to their country and how many of them have initiated a new project in education or in development that is making the difference in the country. Similarly, you can also see how many of them secured some kind of funding to really mobilize these resources to make changes in the country. So these are some of the indicators. You can come up with more when you are dealing with your own projects. So indicators have different way of classification when it comes to monitoring and evaluation. You can classify indicators by categorizing them as qualitative and quantitative indicators. Quantitative are when you put choices against the questions that you ask from the respondents. If you want to know how do you see the quality of YES program, and I put the choices as excellent, good, average, poor, it's a quantitative indicator because you have close-ended choices. Other than that, respondent cannot respond. On the other hand, the same indicator can become qualitative if you keep it open-ended without a choice. How do you see the quality of program? Now, quality can be described in various ways by various individuals. So it's their way. They will come up with multiple type of responses. You have to analyze that data. So you get more information with qualitative, but then the analysis becomes more difficult too. So that's your choice. How do you want to put that question, whether the excellent, good, average will work better for you or will give all the answers that you want to know about by using that indicator, or the qualitative indicator, keeping it open-ended, will give you more information. There are other ways also to define indicator. One way is the hierarchical way, in which you put indicators as input indicator, process indicator, output, outcome, and impact. Now, what does that mean? Usually inputs of the program are the man, money, and material that you invest in the program, right? So, and the process is when you utilize these inputs to do various activities are called processes. Outputs are the direct result of the activities that you conduct. And if slightly more distant are the outcomes and more are the impact. Now, if we see this webinar, the man, money, and material part is your coordinators, I as instructor, and resources that we are using are the inputs. Process is the webinar that I am running. Output is the knowledge that you gain about monitoring and evaluation. And then outcome is when you use this knowledge in your project. And impact can be because of using monitoring and evaluation framework, you do a better job in the project. You understand your progress better. You respond or report on your project better. These can be some of the impacts. Now, if we move on and apply this to another context, which is about increasing a project that focuses on increasing the school enrollment. The inputs can be material for mobilization session, facilitators, funds. The process can be you conduct the mobilization session to increase the school enrollment, to mobilize people to send their girls at schools, and outputs can be number of mobilization sessions conducted. And similarly, you can refer back to this slide and you will understand how the goals are related to impact, objectives are related to outcome, and strategies are related to outputs. So your mobilization session is a activity that is directly related to output. Your objective is to bring girls to school, so increase in enrollment is your goal, and that is related to impact. If you look back at this slide after the presentation, you will know what it is all about. Now, why do we want to use the approaches to evaluation? The approaches are important because evaluation can be so so much. It's such a big thing that you may not be able to cover everything in your evaluation. So what you do is you apply various kind of approaches to it so that you focus on areas that really can make the difference. One approach can be objective oriented approach. In objective oriented approach, you focus on your objective and just take that as your focus to develop the whole monitoring and evaluation program. Like the school enrollment program, your focus is to increase the number of girls in the school. So that is your objective, and you will devise the monitoring and evaluation in accordance to that. While in the participant oriented approach, you have more people who will devise the monitoring and evaluation program for you. Like if you are implementing a project that is funded by through the YES program or YES Scholar program, then you will include the coordinator of YES program to participate in devising the indicators, in devising the monitoring plan. Your own people who where you are running the project, they will also participate in it, and those people who know a little bit more about modeling and evaluation can be part of the process to help you devise a better program. So participant oriented is better. It involves more people, give you more insight about how the modeling and evaluation should be done, but at the same time sometimes tackling with more people becomes difficult at times too. So this is how it is. When you look at this picture, it looks very simple that there are two faces, but a deeper understanding of it, you will realize that there are more than two faces here. See, woman with a child. Here is one more face. Here is one more. So the message that I'm trying to convey is that world is complex. It looks very simple when you see it, but as you go into it, you try to understand the issues around it or deeper underpinnings. It becomes very difficult. That is why I feel that the participatory approach is better. That it involves people and they can help you know the complexities attached to the to your program or any context. So what does participation mean? It means that the stakeholders should influence and control the development of the program. Even when you are writing a proposal or any program, you should take the help from people who are around you, the local people, the YES program coordinators, even the experts who have done work before in this area can help you understand how to really devise the program. So participation is not necessarily for the monitoring and evaluation proposal, but rather for the overall work that you are doing. So I was surfing the net and I found some of the very exciting projects that the YES scholars are doing and trying to make the difference in their areas in their own ways. And I have taken the example of one of them, which was about saving the students from motorbike accidents uh, and by providing them the right kind of knowledge about the driving requirements and the speed limits and all the other safety rules. So we apply the same hierarchical classification of indicators. We see that there are input, process, output, and outcome. Let's understand how this whole will work for this specific project. So the input, as I said, that these are man, money, and material. So the training module, the trainer, all the lobbyists, the material to lobby with the traffic personnel, and advocacy material to influence the lawmaker to make the law changes in the law, safety laws. These are all part of inputs. Then the process is the thing that you conduct, which is the training that you conduct to to improve the knowledge of young students about the traffic rules. You meet with traffic staff to improve the road safety measures. You meet the lawmakers to improve the laws. All these activities are your process. And what are your outputs? Direct result of your activities, which are number of young drivers who attended the training sessions, number of lawmakers who participated in the meetings to understand which laws are to be changed, and a number of traffic staff attended the meetings to know which areas are hot spots and more vulnerable, make the students more vulnerable to accidents. These are your direct outputs, and your outcomes are when the number of rules are changed, when number of hot spots are engineered to make them better for the drivers, and the number of students who really know what which rules should be followed, and number of accidents that are decreased. So this is a hierarchical way, and as I said, that you can start talking about it when you are devising the project. At the same time, you should be thinking about how you are going to really gauge your progress and how are you going to report back to the funders or donors about what you are doing. So this is the basic framework for any monitoring and evaluation system. You need to identify the goals and objectives of the program. You need to set the approach for it, whether you want to use the objective oriented approach and whether you want to use the participatory approach. Select the indicators, identify the methods of data collection. There can be a separate session on that, but I can give you just an overview of that. In qualitative, you can do in-depth interviews, which are called one-to-one interview. You sit with the respondent and talk about various things that you want to know about. This is called in-depth interview. And focus group is with 7 to 12 people sitting in a roundtable type of arrangement. There is a moderator. Moderator asks questions, and then people respond to that and interact with each other. This is called focus group. These are both qualitative methods of data collection and will give you more the qualitative indicators. The quantitative is more a survey type of thing where you go and interview people by using a structured questionnaire. But as I said, that I cannot give you all the knowledge about it in this session, but I'm just giving you an idea so that whatever you want to learn from you have some idea about it when you surf the internet to find more about it. Um, then, as I said, you choose the method of data collection. Then you implement the M&E program, write a report. This is very important. What you are doing, people won't know if you don't write the report, and then disseminate and utilize the results. Utilization means you learn from it and use it for the next project to improve it further, or seek more funds by telling people what you have done. How to disseminate results. This is very important. As I told you that you need to talk about it. You need to make presentation in various forums. You need to if project is as important that many people are affected by it, then you can take in loop the print and the electronic media and tell them about what you have done so that people know and you can expand further. So for report writing, there are many formats, but this is one format that is mostly utilized. You give the title of the report, you write a brief abstract, usually 250 words in when you are writing a formal report, but it can stretch to more if there is no obligation on you and you want to explain. But lesser it is, better it is, because many people will not read the full report, want to know just the gist from there of the work that you have done by reading the abstract. So it has to be very tidy and focused when it comes to writing abstract. Then you write introduction where you give the overview, why you were conducting, which area it was, and what kind of people were there so that people know if they want to use the same project and apply it, they know that what kind of population or what kind of context was there when you were using it so that they can apply to the similar context. Then you write the methods. Methods, as I said, that you can use the focus group, in-depth interviews, or the surveys, whatever method you want to use, and then you write the result and finally the discussion. So I end my presentation with this quote of Andrew Mitchell, who said that my top priority will be to secure maximum value for money in aid through greater transparency, rigorous independent evaluation, and unremitting focus on results. So these are the three things that evaluation adds to your project. It gives transparency, it gives you clear picture of what you are doing, and give clear pictures to others too that what you are doing. And an independent and focused presentation will give you give you an idea about what results you are achieving. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ajmal. I think that that was a lot of information for all of our YES alumni, and I'm sure that they have a lot of questions. Up next, we have Marouane, who is a YES alumnus from 2008, and he is going to put Dr. Ajmal's presentation into a bit of a YES perspective and give you his personal experience, which I think you'll all be able to relate to a lot. While he's talking, if you have any questions for either Marouane or Dr. Ajmal, you can write them in the chat box and we'll make sure to leave time for questions and answers at the very end.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Perfect. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Marouane Smaili, and I'm a YES alumnus from Morocco, Agadir, in southwest Morocco, and I'm from 2007, 2008. I'm really glad to be here with you guys and to share my experience. And like Bethany said, just to sort of put Dr. Agha's presentation to more of a yes perspective. So What I'll be sharing with you today is I will just talk about my experience with community service as a YES alumni in Morocco and how I used to work without evaluation and how that changed after I started evaluating the projects that I either started or I participated in. So just so I can give you a brief background about myself. So like I said, I'm a YES alumnus 2007-2008, and I lived in Tucson, Arizona, which was pretty cool and hot. So I recently graduated from ENCG Business School, and I got a master's degree in marketing and sales operations. I was also a Google Student Ambassador at my university. And currently, I'm a communication officer and project manager at a local NGO called Darcy Ahmed here in southwest Morocco. So, okay. So, what I'd like to share with you today, first, I would like to start with an anecdote with the project that I've initiated as a YES alumnus. This was my first YES project, and it was called Happy Day. And we did two. So we did Happy Day 1 in May 2010 and Happy Day 2 in December the same year 2010. So the event was like the first event I've implemented here after coming back to Morocco. And second, I would like to speak about another project that I've done here as a YES alumnus, which is the water school, and this is a recent one. We just did it like in June 2014. And then I will give you a few tips for you guys when you to evaluate your projects. All right, so Happy Day is was it's a day we did it on Sunday when I was a freshman in a university, and we invited 100 orphans and children from underprivileged and poor families, and we did a full day of fun and instructive workshops of art, music, and dance, and it was really fun. So for the Happy Day project phases, just so you can, I can put you into a more clear and concrete perspective. So for the preparation and planning, we selected a team, we set the goals and the deliverables. The deliverables for us were the workshops, like to prepare the curriculum, everything for the workshops. And then we dispatched the tasks and we went to sponsors, we did the logistical work and the communication. And during the implementation, we received guests. It was fine. The children came, and we ran the workshops. And it was very great actually for the kids and for us as well. But when we came to the evaluation, we did none. So after the project, the day was great. Everything went fine, but we didn't evaluate after the first happy day in May 2010. So what we did was a very short, descriptive and narrative report about what was done. Like from the day, okay, so the guest came at 9:30, and then we did this and we did that throughout the day. And just it was just narrative, and it was really like um, just narrative. There was no critical thinking involved, no evaluation whatsoever of the project's components. So after we did the Happy Day 1, we did the Happy Day 2. So, but this transition, there was no evaluation between Happy Day 1 and Happy Day 2. So of course, because we didn't do any evaluation, there were so many errors that could have been avoided if we evaluated the first event. And some of these errors, first thing, because we had lunch together with the kids. So there was this catering company who sponsored us, and they prepared lunch, and we decided on 140 lunches, the guests that will have lunch. But and we had this problem in Happy Day 1, so we had an excess. We had more people coming. I think it was like 160 people. So there was not enough meals for everyone, and we had to bring meals from outside. So this happened during the first event. So after this, we didn't evaluate. There was no report, analytical report to analyze the errors and the points to improve on. So in Happy Day 2, we fell in the same mistake. So we had an excess in the number of guests. I know it sounds a little bit dumb, but we didn't know better because, like I told you, this was the first event I've implemented as a YES alumnus, and I admit it. It was a mistake, but I didn't know better back then. So another mistake was timekeeping. So during Happy Day 1, we were very late to begin. I think it was 1 hour. We were 1 hour late. So automatically, we were also late to finish. And because we didn't evaluate or have written this in the report, we fell into the same mistake in the second event. And again, the sponsoring folder, as you guys know, fundraising is a really important aspect when you implement the projects. So we prepared a sponsor kit with presentation about the project, the budget, etc. And the first one was, we were freshmen in university, so it was not of, the best quality. So during the second event, we did not improve it. So we did not change the sponsoring folder or just to sort of make it more appealing and compelling. So automatically there were less money in. So we didn't convince more sponsors to sponsor us. And as for the budget, it was also overly inflated. So we there were the costs that we put were not realistic at the first events, and the sponsors know that. They know when you're exaggerating the costs. So automatically they don't there's that trust. They don't trust you, so they don't provide you with the necessary funds to fund your project. So automatically we got less money in from sponsors. So the point here, all of these mistakes happened in the first event, but because we didn't write a report, analytical report to analyze and reflect on all the aspect that happened in the project. So automatically we fell in the same mistakes when we did the second Happy Day. So evaluation is really, really important. And since then, all the projects that I've done or that I implemented, we started evaluating. I've read more about evaluation. I've seen how other projects are evaluated. And since then, I've just prepared templates that I still follow that I will share with you guys also. All right. So now I'm going to move to the water school. So water school, like I told you guys, this event I've implemented as an intern at Darcy Ahmed, where I'm currently working. And it was a successful project. It was a full 3-week intensive summer camp for 46 rural children. And so these rural children are in southwest Morocco. It's a very remote area, and the education there is very, very basic. So and this region is also water scarce. They don't have water, and it's an arid region. So the water school, the premise behind this project was to gather the children and to do a 3-week intensive workshops around the theme of water and the environment to sort of raise their curiosity around the notion of water as a scarce resource. So we did hands-on workshops about the water cycles and how to manage water, how to do water economies, and then via experiments we did experiments and we did a visit to the ocean, which was very interesting because they live about 30 miles from the ocean, and most of them have never seen the ocean. So we also did scientific trips and discussions, videos. We tried to stimulate their, curiosity and intellect to participate. And then we did a technology day. So it was for them, it was like the first time they've ever attended such a project, and it was also partially funded by the YES Small Grant. Yeah, thank you for reminding me, Bethany. And so it was a very interesting project. But right after the project, we did like I won't call it an evaluation or a thorough evaluation. It was just, it was unstructured. There were like random questions that we asked. these children and the staff at the school where we held all the workshops, and we talked only like to a small sample, like the number of the children that we asked questions. It was like only about five. So, and also it was a biased approach, how you really invest in the project and you're ambitious and enthusiastic. So after that, you of course I mean, not of course, but some people will be biased. They will try to dwell on the positive things and not think about the negative things or the errors that were made. But actually no, we should consider the errors, that were the mistakes, because if we analyze, if we think about the mistakes, next we won't fall into the same mistakes again, like what happened for us in Happy Day. We didn't evaluate, so when we did the same event a second time, we fell into the same mistakes. But if we were to just sit down, reflect, and just think critically about the project, about the event, how it went, and then we can actually see the errors that were made, and then we'll propose solutions. So for next time when we do the same thing, or when we do another project, we won't fall into the same mistakes. So evaluation is really really interesting. And then after a few months, I applied for the TLT training with the American Councils for the YES Alumni, and then I applied as a project to evaluate the water school. So then I was assigned a coach, Anas Abadi. He's really nice, and he provided me with great advice about how to evaluate the project. So now it's still ongoing, and we're going to start it in April. So we are finalizing the questionnaires and the interview guides to interview the kids. So this time for the evaluation, it's structured. So I've sat and I wrote my proposal, and I did my literature review, and then we set research aspects. So what are we going to measure? So the management and staff. So we will measure to what extent we were efficient and effective. The curriculum quality. So we will measure to what extent the curriculum and the trainings, the experiments, the workshops were effective. And the food, the quality of the food, because the children had lunch with us every day. And then the program length. Like I said, it was 3 weeks. So here we will evaluate to what extent it was a more appropriate, because after that, when we did the small evaluation with the staff, they said that it was 3 weeks is it's too much, because it was very tiring and it was held in a rural area and it was very hot. So now we will evaluate thoroughly the program length and analyze it from different viewpoints, from different perspectives, from the staff perspective, from the children's perspective, from the children's parents' perspectives, and the teachers who assisted with us. And then we thought about the tools. Like I told you guys, the questionnaires, we're currently finalizing them, and the interview guys. And for the sample, so here for the target, the people who will interview, so there are the direct beneficiaries, and we chose 30 children, which is widely representative. And the stakeholders, so parents, we will also speak with the parents about how the water school affected their children, and how the children talked about the water school and their experience. So then I'm sure we will have, sort of ideas about the children's perspective, and we will build up on that to sort of design a second edition which will be better. And then also the local teachers and the project committee. So of course, and the budget. So we for this evaluation we assigned a budget, and it was also part of the TLT grant, the YES TLT grant. So we did a budget and a timeline, a precise timeline about each step of the evaluation, from the sampling, determining the sample, finalizing the research tools, which are the questionnaires and the interview guides, and then the time period for the data collection, when we're going to talk to the children and the parents, and then a time budget for data analysis and interpretation. So it's really structured, And like the coach that I was assigned in the TLT training really helped me to make it, thorough. All right. So okay. So now I'm gonna move to the tips. I'm give you some tips based on my personal experience with project evaluation. So when you evaluate your project, one thing that I've learned is that you need to think about evaluation from the start, because some people just, they determine the scope of their projects, what they're going to do, the goals and everything, but they do not think about the evaluation and about the indicators, the, like we call them, the KPIs, the key performance indicators that they're going to use in order to measure to what extent they reach their goals. So evaluation, you guys need to think about it from the start. When you set the goals, Dr. Aga talked to you about the SMART goals. So once you guys set the SMART goals that reflect what you want to achieve, where you want to go with your project, and to do that, I advise you guys to just, to sit down and imagine in your head. I'm more of a visual person, so I just like to just sit down and imagine different scenarios in my head. So then I can, have a clear idea about what's going to happen. So anticipate. So imagine the desired outcome in your head and just jot down or write down how it looks like in terms of goals. This is what I want to achieve. For instance, for the water school, okay, I want 46 children to learn about the water cycle. I want 46 children to be more active students rather than just passive students who just listening to the trainer. These are examples of the goals. So evaluation, you really need to keep it in your head from the start. And as you can see the little picture on the right, there's an adage that says, if you can't measure it, it doesn't exist, which is which is true. I mean, if you set a goal and then you don't measure to what extent you've reached that goal, it doesn't exist. It has to be sort of quantitative to a certain extent. So, and with evaluation, that's how you can measure your goals. And so be efficient. I mean, this is like I told you, it's more my personal view. So for me, I think it's better to assign the evaluation task to, I mean, one person or two. They will coordinate the evaluation process depending on the project's nature. So of course, this person will coordinate, but there will be others who will help design the research tools like the questionnaires, and others will help with data collection and analysis, and especially for the data analysis. So there's, to avoid being to be biased, it's better to give this task to a third party, always a third party, because the third party will be neutral and they will analyze the data, what people thought about the project more objectively. So but one or two, they one or two people, like I said, they will coordinate, and they will follow up and bring the pieces of the puzzle together. And then they will everyone will have by the end a thorough report about how the project went, what were the positive things, what were the not the negative, but the points that needs to be improved on, what were the errors that could have been avoided, and if these errors happened again, how can we overcome them. All right. And so now, and don't think evaluation is only for big projects, because I mean, I was like this when I did the happy day 1 and 2. I didn't think about evaluation, and when I hear the word evaluation back then, when I was a freshman at the university, I think, oh, evaluation is only for, the big projects, the corporate, whatever, the big project. But actually, no. I mean, even I gave you the example. I mean, just the transition between Happy Day 1 and Happy Day 2, we fell in the same mistakes that could have been avoided. And if we have evaluated the first event, after the second event, we will have more money in from the sponsors. We would have respected time, and it would have just been better. So then we'll just grow and become better. So evaluation is a phase of project management. I mean, project management, there's, the preparation phase, the planning phase, the implementation phase, and then evaluation phase. It's also important to evaluate to what extent you've reached your goals. So then only then you can detect if there are any gaps. If there's, I don't know, if we speak, for instance, about financial indicators, to what extent you've respected the budget. So if there's a deficit, then you'll have to explain why there's that deficit. Probably, I don't know, because sometimes you just forgot to include something. I mean, you have, I don't know, a bill from what a projector, you've rented a projector and then you forgot to include it. So then when you have that gap and you analyze it, and then you will remember, oh yeah, I have this bill, I forgot to include it. Or for instance, I don't know, you paid something, yeah, an unexpected expense, something that you didn't expect but it happened. So then when you evaluate, next time you do the same event or another event, you know that, oh, there may be this unexpected expense that I will need to take into consideration. So then you're more prepared and you have a more realistic view of the budget. So, and of course, evaluation is not just with the budget; it's also with the time, with also the timeline. I mean, to what extent you've respected your deadlines, and to what extent, your event, for instance, in the Happy Day, we didn't respect the time. For instance, if we were to start a workshop at 1, we started it at 2. So then we'll have to evaluate why didn't we start at 1 and we started at 2. Okay, because lunch took longer. And so next time when lunch, we will have to keep track of time, and we will, for instance, instead of giving 1 hour to lunch, we will give 2. So here, the evaluation helps you devise a more realistic strategy when you're trying to um, to just do the next thing, the next project, the next event. And the last tip that I have for you guys is just make it simple. I mean, keep it simple. I mean, project management or evaluation, it's not really complicated, and do not think that it's something that's made just for people who study evaluation or project management. No, I mean, it's really simple. I mean, you just define your project, what you're gonna do, what is your target, where, the who, what, when, where, why, the 5 whys and how. Then you set your goals, what you want to achieve, and the performance indicators. These are really important. After you set your goals, you need to have an indicators. I will share with you a template that I've used for the water school, so you guys can have a more clear idea about the type of indicators, qualitative indicators, quantitative indicators, and how to collect data. So then you dispatch tasks as a team, you establish a timeline, deadlines for each task, and then you mobilize financial, material resources, and then you implement what you have to do. I mean, it's really, really simple. And then you evaluate as you go, and you evaluate after the project. I mean, but the evaluation here, I mean, for me, again, from a personal perspective, I like to evaluate the project as I go, during the event or the project implementation phase. I evaluate as you go. For instance, during the water school, it's 3 weeks. So if the first day, for instance, we do something like, for instance, we make a certain dish for lunch, and then we have a lot of leftovers, we ask people, they don't like it, we remove that if we are going to do it again next week. It's like this. If we pay, I don't know, a certain, if there is an unexpected expense, for instance, we paid a lot on telephone, like phone calls, so we automatically change the budget and update it to get, to give to include that unexpected cost for the remaining period of the project. And then, of course, after the project, you evaluate with the indicators, and then you see overall to what extent you've reached your goals. All right, so yeah, thank you guys for your attention. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you so much Dr. Ajmal and Marwan, I think that you gave both really wonderful information, and just for everybody to remember, it will all be available on the yesprograms.org website on the alumni section. We'll have the recording of this. They've both offered to allow you to use their presentations, so those will also be up on the alumni page, as well as some evaluation templates that Marwan is going to share that can help you design your own evaluation. So I think that that was really wonderful information, and I hope that you're able to use it. As we are closing the webinar, I would like you to take the time. If you have any questions, please write them in the chat box, and we can make sure that our speakers answer them. And also, if you could please answer the poll in the lower left-hand corner. How will you use what you learned in today's webinar in your next alumni project? We are giving you a challenge to use more evaluation in your projects, and how can you use what we've learned? Okay, Faisal asks, what can you do to make the participants be honest in the evaluation? Marwan or Dr. Ajmal, do you have any ideas about that?
Yeah, I can answer that. This is not an easy question to respond to, but what you can do is you can involve more people as an outsider, uh, like the other stakeholders, to come and evaluate and monitor your project, maybe because you are part of that project and people may not respond to the way they want to respond. We call it in research Hawthorne effect, which is like they want to respond to please you, the socially acceptable way of answering the question, right? They know that you are implementing the project. Saying anything wrong about it will hurt you. So, I mean, you can involve people from outside the project to come and review it. Maybe this can help, and Marijuana can include, add more to it.
Thank you, Dr. Agha. And I think personally it is very an interesting question also. I mean, for people to be honest and sincere during the evaluation. I mean, it's also tricky because sometimes I'm speaking from like the steering committee viewpoint. If you want to evaluate your project and you are going to do all the evaluation, I mean, for some, I'm not speaking like for all the members of the steering committee, but some will be, like, it's unconscious. I mean, because you're so enthusiastic, you're so ambitious, you love what you do, you love your projects, and it was success. Of course, it was successful in your eyes. So there's that, what we call in psychology, the halo effect. So there's one thing, for instance, there's one thing, the project was successful, and that's it. So for you, the project is successful. So you don't unconsciously, sort of, you don't allow yourself to go dig deeper to analyze the errors, the mistakes, and you try to avoid them the next time. But actually, this is subjective, being subjective and biased. So to be honest, like Dr. Aga said, and I will really advise, I will give you two tips on this point. So first, when we come the sensitive parts, which are data collection and analysis, is always good to give them to a third party, or what we call in French, then they call it the UI. It's a principle. You always give some these tasks to a third party, like the audit. When auditing a company, it's always better. The first thing they learn in audit is to bring a third party, because the third party won't be biased. They don't know the company. They do not belong to the company. They do not share the company's culture. So they will be more objective. And so yeah, so it's always better. I mean, of course, at first, the first phase of the evaluation, when you're determining, when you're making the questionnaires, the interview guides, that's you can do it as there's just the insiders, the steering committee, with the help probably of professionals or people who have more experience in evaluation. But when you do data collection and analysis and interpretation, it's always good to give them to a third party or a person in the steering committee who was not involved or very involved in the during the project. So it really depends on the project's nature. And the second tip is also the quality of the questions. I mean, the questions that you will ask to the people, they may be open questions or, closed questions. I mean, dichotomic, yes and no, or multiple choice or an open question. So the quality of the question is really, really also important. And this is one thing that journalists do better. They ask like accurate, actionable questions to the point and specific. And if they were not given a specific answer, they try to ask the same question in another way because in their head they know the information that they're looking for. So, and they just they paraphrase the question in many ways till they get their answer. So also the quality of the questions and the way the questions are formulated and asked, it's also important. Thank you.
Thank you both for weighing in on that question. I think that you really gave a lot to Faisal to think about. Are there any other questions out there? I also want to take this time to remind you that there's another alumni webinar coming up on March 17th at 9 a.m. It's going to be for Global Youth Service Day and how to plan a project on a low budget. So I think that will be really helpful for a lot of you. Global Youth Service Day is only a little bit over a month away, so I know a lot of you are probably starting to plan your projects for that. So please join us on March 17th at 9 a.m. I see a few of you are typing, so I'm going to wait and see if there are other questions. Faisal has another really great question. He says, what are some activities or techniques to evaluate other than questionnaires and surveys? Dr. Agha, do you have other methods other than the questions and surveys
So
offer?
when we talk about the methods of data collection in monitoring and evaluation, the survey and the questionnaire. Questionnaire is a tool that you utilize to conduct a survey. You have a given format. I spoke about a little bit about the quantitative and qualitative methods. In quantitative methods, you have close-ended responses to the question, right? So you have a given format of a questionnaire in your hand when you do a quantitative survey. So in quantitative survey, you go reach out to the people and you conduct a survey in a given format. So you can contact more people. You talk about statistics in surveys. You talk about the number of people you have contacted, the representativeness of the survey. All these aspects are related to quantitative terms. So in summary, when you are using quantitative method of data collection, one method of it is conducting a survey. In survey, you use a formatted, a structured questionnaire. And that is why in quantitative we say tool of the survey is your questionnaire in hand. On the other hand, when you use qualitative methods, you use focus group discussions or in-depth interviews. In focus group, there is a moderator who moderates the discussion between 7 or 6 to 12 people. There are some open-ended questions that the moderator asks time to time and generate discussions around. So, I mean, if you have a very, very large number of focus group, you cannot handle that. So when we do qualitative type of data collection, We do not go for representation. Like we do not say 95% of people said so, or we are 95% confident like we do in statistics. This all statistical aspects comes into discussion when you are using quantitative methods of data collection. One method of data collection is survey. All the others that I spoke about, focus group discussion, in-depth interview, is a qualitative way of data collection. In in-depth, you can contact one person, conduct interview like a journalist conducting an interview with any high official or a lawmaker or anybody. So, I mean, you have to make distinction between the two. Then there are other methods in quantitative too. There are like a case control study when you want to see how the cases are different from control. When you are doing accident safety program in one district and not doing in the other, and you want to see how these districts are different at the end of the project, this is like an experimental study. But as I said, that there are so much into the methods that at this point in time, even if you understand the difference between the quantitative and quantitative in a way, qualitative in a way that quantitative is all about collecting data from people. You can contact more people. You have a structured questionnaire in hand, and your tool in quantitative is your questionnaire. On the other hand, when you do focus group, people around you are the moderator in the focus group is your tool. During your in-depth interview, the person who is interviewing is your tool. So that's the difference between qualitative and quantitative. I hope I clarified that. If you want to ask more, please do.
Thank you. That was very
I
helpful.
just
Marwan, yeah, do you have anything to add, Marwan?
yeah. Yes, just a few points. I mean, Dr. Aga synthesized it in a beautiful way. So, I just would like to add also, besides, the the qualitative, the in-depth interviews, the focus group, and the quantitative, the surveys, there's also observation. So, just last weekend, we organized a festival. It was a two-day festival about cinema, photography, and music. And for the evaluation part, we assigned one person to do just observation. So the person will just observe, to what extent with respect to time, to what extent people are enjoying it, and then the person will interact with the people. And we said only three questions to make it simple. What were the good things about the festival? What were the not the bad, but the things to improve on? And how do you envision a second edition of the festival? So one person took care of all of this. So there's also observation. You just observe how are things going, and then you take notes, and you do your report and you analyze. And there's also another thing, and this is more internal. For instance, to track the budget and the deadlines, this is more internal. So you won't use surveys or questionnaires or interviews. This you will do on your own because you have the data already. You have the accounting, you have the receipts that you spent, and then you will do the evaluation. Did you respect the budget? Did you go beyond the budget? Is there a deficit? Is it excedentary? So the deadlines. Did you respect the deadlines? Are you not respecting deadlines? Why aren't you? Do you need more people to pitch in and help? It's all of that. So the evaluation is not only about the quantitative part. There's also the qualitative that you can do with data collection from the beneficiaries or from the inside, from the steering committee itself, like the organization documents, like the deadlines, the accounting data, and the quality of the reports that you're writing. Yeah.
Thank you, Marwan. I think that was a really helpful and important addition. And Faisal has another great question. And I think this will be the last one for now. But can survey results be included with a chart or graph into the project report? So I think his question is more about what should go in the project report.
That depends on how you have put your objectives in the project proposal. If you The reader should read it instantly, whether it's a graph or a table or or a pie chart or a bar graph, that doesn't matter. You have to ask yourself what question you started with, what were your objectives, and what is the best possible way of presenting it for people to understand it easily.
Yeah, I just would like to add one thing. So here it really depends. I mean, it really depends on the question or the results that you're trying to include. I can give you an example, and this was like me as a student. So we used to do questionnaires to evaluate a company's performance in customer satisfaction, for instance. So we did questionnaires um, and we interviewed customers, and then it really depends. In the report we used to do tables with the digits and then charts, but then the professors told us there's no reason to include the table and the chart. Only the chart is more visual, it's more easily understood by the people, like Dr. Aga said. Yeah, so the important thing here is how to convey the results in a more, I mean, in an easy way for people to allow people to for people to comprehend the answers. So it really depends on the nature of the question. For some questions you will need, for instance, pie charts. For instance, if you're doing like gender, like how many male, female, here it's a pie chart. You know, you have, I don't know, 60%, 40%. It's easily, you know, but if, for instance, you're asking people to check, I don't know, like at least 5 items that they liked in a certain event: music, videos, staff, and then so here you will need you know, a graph. We call it a histogram. So you have you know, yeah, a histogram. You can just, guys, Google it. So it really depends on the nature of the question and how to make the results more just easily, how to make them more compelling and easily understood by the people.
Great point. Yeah, I think that as long as the charts are clarifying things and making it easier to understand, then they could be a good addition. I see one more question from Amadou. Is it possible to include responses based on evaluation methods to seek feedback? Oh, sorry. Sorry, I started reading the wrong thing. Is it possible to include responses based on evaluation while writing project report? We can't hear you. I think there might be something happening with your microphone, Dr. Aga. Amadou, can you try to clarify your question a little bit? I'm not sure that I understand it. In the meantime, possibly we can answer Sahar's question, which was, what do you think of incentives for participating in the surveys on or evaluation feedback?
I don't know about the question that was just asked, but one question that I was reading was about providing incentives to the respondents. That is also a very important question. And what happens is, normally when we write proposals or evaluation program, we need them to be reviewed by ethical committee. There are two types of committees, right? One is the funding committee, which sees that whether whatever you are doing is worth doing and worth funding or not. So they look at from the practical point of view. And there is another committee usually attached to universities, which is called, we call it ethical committee, who see whether there are ethical breach in the proposal or not. For instance, one example was a HIV drug proposal, which was written for Africa. They provided drugs in Africa and it worked, but then the drug was $700 per patient per dose or something like that. So that kind of price African people living in poverty and living with HIV could not pay. So the drug was utilized worldwide, but people said that why Africa was used, and you know, when you are not able to even get that drug and there is no way you can get it for free, why that project was conducted in Africa. This is one example of ethical issue that can arise. So another example of ethical issue is, for instance, when you say you provide incentive to the respondent. So one thing you can do is you can take them on your side. So they will respond in a way I said, Hawthorne effect will occur. They will respond the way it pleases you. So usually what people do is when they pay for something, it's usually people come from their work. They do not work for the day. They come and sit with you. Focus group discussions, interviews take some time. Arrangement can take 4 to 5 hours. They can lose the day. They can lose their wage. So you pay for the time that they give you. And you also provide them lunch if it is a lunchtime or tea time. Normally incentive is given in this way, not a very hefty kind of incentive or very big kind of thing. You cannot give that, otherwise you will have ethical issues attached to it.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you for clarifying, Amadou. So I think what he meant was, is it possible to write, should you write quotes from responses that you got during the evaluation in your project report?
Yeah, for that I think you must write, because the writing their own language has its own meaning. You cannot interpret everything. Whenever you interpret, you also give the code to with that, so that people understand that what participant was saying was not different from what you are interpreting. So in qualitative, usually people give quotes, and this gives strong weightage to your evaluation or any kind of report that you write. Even if you write manuscripts or peer-reviewed articles in qualitative area, you will find that many people would have definitely written quote, and not only quote, but the respondent number or something like that. You do not write the name usually of respondent unless they allow you to do that. You do not put pictures of the respondent unless they allow you to do that. These are all ethical issues that you should be careful about. But as I said, you are as a starter, you are just starting these kind of things, so you will learn over the period of time. But yes, quotes can make huge difference to your report.
Wonderful. Well, I'd like to thank all of you for attending today, and a special thank you to Dr. Agha Ajmal and Marouane for your wonderful presentations and your very thoughtful answers. I think that you really helped us start thinking about evaluation today. I'm going to stop the recording now, but I do hope to see all of you back here on March 17th at 9 a.m. for the Global Youth